FYI, it's not. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm coming to you this week with a video about sexism that I put up with all throughout my life. I'm going to give examples of when I was super young, examples from like the last year or two, and I'm going to talk about like why I put up with them or why I didn't say anything and why I'm doing this video, why I'm even talking about this, and then yeah, I give you like a lot of examples of just things from all throughout my life that I'm just like, oh, that's sexist, but I didn't say anything. So let's get started. So I'll start off with the examples first to kind of set the scene, and then talk about, yeah, why I didn't say anything, why I put up with it, and yeah, why I'm making this video. So obviously there's probably loads of examples, seeing as I'm a woman and I'm 26 years old, but these are just ones that I could kind of think of that stood out to me that I knew deep down that they were not right at the time. You know, I knew that they made me feel like shit, or that they were actually just downright inappropriate, but I did not do anything for several different reasons. So we'll start out with one, which is just actually chronic and just so inappropriate. So when I was like 11, there was like a shop that was created next to my primary school, and I would go in there every morning and I would get my lunch, and I would usually get like a kind of a sausage roll in the morning, and the guy at the deli was just, let's say he was friendly, and we use words like friendly to describe behaviour that isn't actually very friendly at all. So let's actually just call it what it was. It was creepy, it was perverted, it was paedophilic. I was 11. It was so inappropriate. Like, even if I was of age, I'm still a customer and you work there, just so rude. So basically, like, I was 11, I would go there every morning and just be made to feel so uncomfortable, and it actually just ended, like, he would say things, after like a few months, he would just say things like, I love you. I would just be there, 11 years old, getting my like sausage roll or whatever, and he'd be like, I love you. And you're just like, you're 11, and like, and it's so funny because like, even now I wouldn't know what to do, you know what I mean? So it's I don't know why I'm even saying my age, because if that happened now, I'd still be like, ha, ha. But like, I was 11, so I was just like, I can't even remember. I think maybe I said like, no you don't, you know, like, and it's just like, kids are so smart. Like, I was 11 and I just knew that that was like so wrong, and I was so uncomfortable, and I was just like, you know, and I'd love to go back and see, and like, I remember it like it was yesterday, you know what I mean? That was like 15 years ago, and I'm like, oh, it just gives me the creeps. And like, I didn't say anything to anyone. I don't think I told anyone this. I can't remember. I feel like I didn't tell anyone this. And then like, one time I was out doing the food shopping with my family, and he was like in the shopping centre, and he's like, Lauren, and I was like, oh my god, like, I'm 11 here, so what's going on? So yeah, that's just like one example that I think of that like was so young and like just so inappropriate. Another one which is really interesting as well is, so when you're like 13, 14 in Ireland, and most people watching this will be Irish, you go to Irish college, and basically it's summer camp, it's like 3 weeks, you speak Irish, and I kind of, basically for us, everyone we knew went down, and it's a great laugh, like it's fun, cool, whatever. But one of the years, I think it was when I was 14, the boys would have a competition to see who could unclasp the girls' bras like the quickest or like the easiest, like from like outside the girls' clothes. So like, say I'm wearing a top, they would try and unclasp it from outside the clothes. And this was just something that the boys all went around and did. And I just, looking back, I'm just like, why? And again, I'll talk about why I, you know, put up with this kind of stuff later on. But like, that just seems so wrong, yeah? And it's just, we're all like, yeah, and for the whole 3 weeks, and like, it was your friends, so like, you just kind of was like, beyond, and we'll talk about it more. Another example was really interesting. So in 5th year, I moved school, and I had like an interview with the principal before I moved school, and in the interview, she was like, oh, what do you want to do like for college, your college course, whatever. And at the time, I had a notion that I wanted to do medicine. So even though, like, I mean, we all knew I probably wasn't getting the points for it, but I was like, yeah, maybe medicine, I don't know, like, you know? And like, instead of just being like, okay, Lauren, you probably won't do well enough in your exams to get this, which would have been totally fair, understandable, she starts like making up an excuse about how I shouldn't do medicine because I'm a woman, and by the time I like finish the college course, get trained, it'll then be time to have babies and I'll need to leave my job. Therefore, I should not do medicine. And like, at the time, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, looking back, I'm like, that was so insane. And again, I'll talk more about, you know, why I didn't think much about it, but like, who says that? Like, I would have much rather you said, like, Lauren, you're not smart enough for this, or like, you know, you're not going to do well enough to get this, but like, to talk about, like, it's just so insane. Like, and I just, you know what I mean? Like, who says that? I was like 17. Who says that? Oh, you're like, oh, I can't. Then another kind of more general example is just, you know, when I was a teenager and my boyfriend at the time would just call me a prude the whole time. Just call me a prude the whole time. Because I didn't want to do bits. And yeah, again, you put up with it. Who knows why? Lol. Yeah. So I think a lot of people can relate to that, and like a lot of my friends experienced that, and it wasn't, or they experienced pressure, and it wasn't until kind of like years later that I kind of talked about it with people, or that it kind of came up, because none of us talked about it at the time, which is so worrying. But yeah, that was again just a thing that I put up with. Well, then when I was 19, I had my first proper job in a receptionist. Basically I was 19. One of the men working there was literally 74 years old. Not even like, hi, he's like 74, actually 74. And basically it was just so inappropriate. Every day would just talk to me. Like, I'd be trying to do my job and he would just come out and sit and literally talk for hours and hours and hours. What did I have to talk about with a 74-year-old man? Nothing. It was so uncomfortable. He would just say things like, oh, like, what colour are your toenails? And I remember at the time that he asked that, they were red, and he was like, oh yeah, I like red. He's like, ugh, I don't want you to, what? And I think like on my fingernails I had like a couple different colours, like fun, you know what I mean? Like not sexy, fun. And he was like, oh yeah, I don't really like those. He's like, who are you to be telling me you don't like my nails? And we all know you don't like them because they're like fun and not sexy, and you want to think of me as 19-year-old sexy girl because you are a pedophile. Yeah, that again, put up with. Then some more examples, but a year later I was 20 and I was working in a bar, and basically the person who hired me told me to my face that he hired me because I was pretty. I was like, alright, okay. Don't know what I meant to do with that information, but there it is, it's there. I also was told to smile many times from behind the bar by the customers, which is like a complete cliche and we've all been told it, but again, yeah, I was told that all the time. Oh, I should smile, like, And then in the same job, my boss told my colleague that my clothes, like style, like what I wore, and I don't want to use the word that he used, but I'm just gonna say it, even though I know it's outrageously inappropriate, and I don't use it normally, but I'm gonna say it because just to tell you all the word he used. He said that my clothes were retarded. Basically, he was saying that because I didn't have my tits out behind the bar, and I was wearing just like a shirt or whatever. And he called it that word, and this was like a grown man. I was like, who actually talks that way? Like, what? Yeah. I left shortly after. But yeah, the bar industry, like, I really don't ever want to have to work in a bar again, because the sexism in the bar industry and just the kind of server industry is just outrageous. Then this is another example. I talked about it in my Bad Feminist Friday series on my Instagram, and how a few years ago when Ireland was fighting for abortion rights, I was working at kind of a fundraiser, and I was like, we were selling raffle tickets or just maybe tickets to the show that we were putting on or something, I can't really remember. It was like me and another person working, a fellow feminist, and this man comes up to the table, and he's obviously like, oh, how much for the tickets, whatever, and we're obviously telling him that, you know, how much it is, whatever, and then he goes, how much for ye? Haha. Sorry? As in like, you're for sale because you're women and you're objects. Lol. Yeah. And I talked about it in my Instagram because I was like, I just was like, so funny. But the woman next to me didn't give it any time, which I was just so jealous of. I was like, you are an icon. She was just like, me there less next to her, like, I was just like, I hate myself, this is chronic and I wish I could have been more like her, but I laughed. Again, I'll talk about it more why in a minute. And then finally, just another example, recently, this is only maybe 6 months ago, I was in my job and I answered the phone to this old man who wants something done, and he's like, oh yeah, go ask so-and-so for the answer, or whatever, and then says, like a good girl, over the phone. 21st century, 26 years of age, like a good girl. I was like, yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah, no bother. Yeah, so those are just kind of all like just random examples of things that have happened throughout the course of my life. And now I'm going to talk about a bit like why for each example I didn't say anything or I didn't do anything. So for the first one with like the inappropriate guy when I was like in primary school and getting my like sausage roll, like I don't really know why I didn't say anything. I think maybe one, because I still needed to go to that shop every day and I didn't want to like cause a scene. I didn't, you know, and it's funny like what goes through the mind of an 11-year-old who doesn't really know that much about like the world and how it treats women, but you still know like what the repercussions would be, you know. Maybe I thought that it would be unsafe if I said anything, and I just kind of wanted to ignore it and pretend that it didn't happen and just kind of like just pretend that it's all fine. And as well, I think like my parents would have freaked, like naturally, so maybe I didn't want to like upset them or whatever, or just didn't want to cause a scene. Or, you know, maybe there was just a part of me that didn't think I was allowed to say anything. Maybe subconsciously I was just like, oh well, I have to put up with this because this is what women put up with. I don't know. I really like I would love to go back and just kind of pinpoint exactly why I didn't say anything to anyone and just continued to put up with him being a complete literal paedophile every day. Then for the example with the guys and our bra straps, like that one is just so obvious. I mean, why I didn't say anything then? I mean, one, you want to be like the cool girl who like puts up with stuff and is like one of the lads, and you know, because like being a lad is like so fucking cool and you just want to be one, and like no one wants to be that girl that's like, oh my god, stop. You know what I mean? Like no one wants to be the girl that's like a prude or reserved or like doesn't want her bra strap opened up. I mean, that's like the very basic thing. I shouldn't be judged for not wanting my bra strap opened up by like a random guy in front of everyone, and then having to like I'm just remembering like I think we all had to like piece it back together and then ourselves. You know, it's not like they helped us piece it back together. Of course not. Why would they? Lol, they just like take it apart. But it's like we were there like awkwardly in front of loads of people, then trying to put it back together. Like, I mean, what? And like, yeah, obviously I didn't say anything because I just wanted to be cool, wanted to be chill, didn't want to make a fuss, and like I definitely didn't think that consciously at the time, you know, but that's why obviously I didn't say anything, you know. I just was like, I guess I have to put up with this is just what guys do, and this is what girls have to do, like to be considered cool. But like looking back, like I mean, how sad is that? How I look back and I just feel so sorry for myself, honestly. And like even now I still feel sorry for myself because I still probably wouldn't stand up to that now. But you just look back and you're like, you just want to shake this teenage girl and just tell her that she doesn't have to put up with this, you know? Then that school example of my principal telling me that I should not do medicine. I mean, I think one of the reasons why I didn't say anything then was because one, I knew I wasn't getting medicine anyway. Definitely not with his attitude. Ha. Then the example of my boyfriend calling me a prude. Ha, lol. Again, I felt guilty. I felt bad. I felt bad about being a prude. I felt bad about feeling reserved and not ready to do sexual bits, so I didn't fight it. He made me just feel so bad about it. So like, why would I fight something that I was like, oh yeah, he's right, like, you know? Like, oh yeah, it's true. So like, why would I fight anything? And because that's like, you know, the worst thing a woman can be. You know, we're criticized for being sexual, but then also criticized for being a prude. Like, lol, can we win? No. But yeah, I just didn't say anything because I thought like, I had to put up with that. You know, like that it was okay to be in a relationship with a guy who calls you a prude. FYI, it's not. Then the job when I was 19 with the 74-year-old. Again, I just didn't want to cause a fuss. I didn't know how to like say anything without it being awkward and without being deemed like aggressive and like amenable, like inamenable, non-amenable, I don't know. You know, you want to just be like the good little girl who doesn't cause a fuss, who doesn't say anything, because we're taught to literally the good little girl. We're taught to be a good little girl for our entire lives. And then they wonder why women can't speak up for ourselves or can't call people out for their shit. Like, I mean, I just I just sat there every day. Another reason why I didn't say anything was because I was actually warned. When I started the job, the owner of the place was actually really nice, and he was like 30 something, but he actually warned me, which looking back is so sinister or something. Like, he knew what this guy was like, and thought it was okay to have me working there and have him working there. Like, what? Before I started, he was like, oh yeah, like, you know, so and so will wreck your head now, like, haha. And I was like, oh, okay, what does that mean? So like, he knew that he was just going to be coming out to me every day, sitting down for hours talking to me, so uncomfortable. Like, again, what do I have to talk about with a 74-year-old? Absolutely nothing. And I was just like, hey, okay, yeah, yeah, for hours. Like my mouth would actually be sore from being like, yeah. And again, I didn't think I was allowed to say it. I didn't want to make it false, didn't want to make it awkward, because I had to work there, you know what I mean? That was my job, so I had to work there every day. So I, like, of course I was just going to be like, okay. And that's like, it's just so interesting, because that's why so many women don't speak up in like workplace harassment, sexual harassment. I mean, like, this, like, they just don't want to make a fuss. They want to keep their jobs. They don't want, like, you know what I mean? And like, because women are often the ones blamed for making the fuss, even though the man is doing the thing, so we don't say anything. And yeah, I was just like, I put up with that for months. It's just like, Then with the bar job, I think that's really interesting. Like, when the guy told me that he hired me because I was pretty, I remember thinking it was weird. Like, being like, oh. But while also being flattered, while also being like, yeah, I am pretty. You know? It's a really good example of things that aren't black and white, that have like kind of both reactions. You're kind of like half offended, half flattered, because like, oh my god, a guy's calling me pretty. And like, I got the job because I'm pretty, you know? So not like that pretty being a skill and nothing I worked for. But yeah, so I didn't say anything. I was just kind of like, oh. A common theme of this is just me being like, and then yeah, you know, like with my boss just being like an ass. You know, like, I left eventually, but I used the example that I wasn't getting enough hours. I never called him out for just being not a nice man, you know? But I was really glad and proud of myself that I left, because I was just like, I'm not putting up with this. Maybe that was the start of me starting to say to men that don't respect women. Then again, with the tickets guy, he was like, how much free? Haha. Like, again, it's just, you know, you don't want to make it awkward. I just laughed when he was like, how much free? And I was like, you just don't want to make it awkward. And like, you're so used to jokes like that being made, that you're just like, you're used to having to be the good little girl, you know, making him feel like he's so funny. You know how like we all laugh at men's jokes even when they're not funny? I don't know why we do it, and I still continue to do it, don't know why. I think it's just kind of, it's almost just like a safety reaction. Like, you just, even though in that instance, I mean, like, there was loads of people around, like, I really wasn't going to do anything, but you're so used to just kind of like, okay, you know, and trying to get the situation as, you know, over with as fast as possible so nothing bad happens. And it's really sad. It's sad that we do that even in situations where nothing probably will happen, but you're still just like, okay, yeah, you know, and just let it be over with, you know, because it's like, if you don't laugh or you keep a straight face, it could go on longer and you just want it to be over with. And it's just so sad that like men think that their jokes are okay because women laugh at them. And like, I've heard that used. I've heard men say like, oh, but sure, like, she didn't mind, she was laughing away. I'm like, she was laughing out of awkwardness. Like, how, like, what a lack of self-awareness on your part. I mean, like, what else was she gonna do? Like, do you know what I mean? Oh, but yeah, no, I am striving to keep a more straight face and not laugh when jokes are sexist and not funny. And then, you know, the last example of the guy, you know, just a few months ago when I was in work and he was like, oh, do that like a good girl. Again, I put up with it because there was two people in the room listening to me, and I didn't want to like make a fuss. And also, you know, this guy was friends with my boss, and I didn't want to, you know, I was like, this isn't really my place. Even though like I shouldn't have to put up with that kind of language, I was just like, I could get in trouble for calling him out, or I could get in trouble, like, he might not want to do business with my boss, and then I get in trouble for that, even though I shouldn't have to be treated like this. So I didn't say anything for each thing that I didn't speak up about. There's kind of like different reasons for each of those, and I think that's really telling. I think there's like so many reasons why women don't say things. It's just not black and white. It's just, there are so many reasons, and men and people need to start realizing that it's not just because, oh, she didn't mind or she liked it. Like, women don't call you out for so many reasons, and I want to just kind of give a taster of the myriad of different reasons why I maybe didn't say things in each of those examples. So then to kind of end, like, you know, like why I'm doing this video, like I kind of just wanted to give different examples of sexism in kind of varying degrees and just things that we put up with. And I just want you to know that like you don't have to put up with it. If something makes you feel like it's not right deep down, it's so cliche, but honestly, trust your gut. Oh my god, like you know if something is not right. Don't like try not to put up with it. It's so hard. I know that it's so hard to not put up with it and like not say anything, but I'm really trying to get better and get stronger and care less about what men who I don't care about think of me. You know, even the so-called small things, like, you know, guys telling me to smile behind the bar or someone saying like a good girl. Like, I mean, you don't have to put up with that, and I want you to know that. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this video and just show the nuanced reasons why women might not say anything. So that is this week's video. I'd love to maybe, if you want to give examples of things that you've experienced that you kind of maybe like didn't put up with, but you're looking back, you're like, oh god, I wish I would have, or just anything, and just to have a conversation, leave a comment. So that is this week's video. I hope you learned something. I hope you took something from this, and I will see you all in next week's video. Don't forget to subscribe or give the video a thumbs up or anything, and I will see you all next week. Bye.